Assalamu alaikum, students. Today we are going to have last lecture on a hanging. That is a narrative essay written in a story style. And we know that it's written by George Orwell. Uh, Let me provide you the context of last two paragraphs. They are not very long, they're shorter ones. So if you see our essay is approaching its end, and we see that after the execution has been completed and the prison officials have left the gallows area, the emotional tension that existed before the hanging has now disappeared completely. And if we see in last two paragraphs, we see that the officials are laughing, they are joking, they are preparing to drink whiskey together, while the executed prisoner body is still nearby. They are not concerned with it. Their focus is on relaxation, on entertainment. The atmosphere becomes strangely cheerful and relaxed. Orwell presents this sudden emotional shift to expose how easily human beings normalize violence and detach themselves from moral responsibility. So we can say that these two paragraphs are deeply disturbing because they show how quickly people return to ordinary enjoyment after participating in the murder, or should we call it murder, in the execution of a human being. Let's start reading the sentences. I found that I was laughing quite loudly. Narrator is talking about himself, and he is also the part of that party because he's not different at all, because he's also laughing quite loudly. So he tells us that he is aware of his own laughter. When he uses the phrase I found, it suggests unconscious behavior, as if he did not even realize he had joined in quite loudly, shows strong emotional release. He was also tensed. So now he is also releasing his tension by laughing loudly. So here we can say that the narrator himself becomes part of the group psychology. The whole group, whatever the whole group is doing, you also become the part of it. It shows how collective behavior can overpower individual moral awareness. Our narrator seems to be aware of that, but now he has joined a party. He's joined a group. So everyone was laughing. The laughter spreads through the entire group. It becomes collective and contagious. It is spreading everywhere. Nobody remains serious anymore. Now, if you see the meaning, of this line, we can say that shared laughter act as psychological relief after the tension and discomfort of execution. Even the superintendent grinned in a tolerant way. Now you see the word. Now, superintendent is also part of it. If you see the word even, it is very important. Why is it important? Because the superintendent earlier appeared tense and serious. Now he grinned. He's grinning. His grinning shows relaxation and approval. Then another word, tolerant, it suggests calm acceptance, almost parental friendliness, because he's a boss there. Whatever he does, others will follow him. So it seems that the authority figure also abandons seriousness once the execution is over. So it reinforces normalization of violence that we have been discussing even in last two paragraphs. You'd better all come out and have a drink, he said quite genially. So the invitation sounds warm, social, and friendly. If you see the word genially, it means cheerfully and pleasantly. He's in cheerful mood. He's in pleasant mood now. The tone is shockingly ordinary, considering a man has just been killed and his body is still around them, beside them. When we consider this, it becomes very alarming. It becomes very shocking for us. So we can say the execution is treated like exhausting work after which people deserve refreshment and relaxation. When you do a hard work, then you need refreshment and relaxation. So they are doing the same. I've got a bottle of whiskey in the car. Now see, whiskey is symbolizing celebration. It is symbolizing relaxation. It is symbolizing social bonding. The presence of alcohol immediately after execution creates disturbing contrast. You're enjoying the death of the person. So execution or violence is followed by comfort and pleasure. It shows emotional disconnection from the reality of death. They are disconnected. Death has not affected them at all, their nerves, their emotions, their feelings, their actions, nothing. We could do with it. This phrase means the group feels very deserve or need a drink after what happened. It suggests shared relief after tension. The officials are themselves as emotionally burdened workers rather than participants in killing, as if they'd been working hard. They had not executed a person, rather they had performed a job. We went through the big double gates of the prison into the road. The movement through the gates is symbolizing transition away from the place of death. You are moving towards life. Leaving the prison physically also reflects psychological movement away from guilt or seriousness. The group leaves behind the execution both physically and emotionally. Pulling at his legs, exclaimed a Burmese magistrate suddenly and burst into a loud chuckling. So he's making fun of it. That pulling at his legs, that narration is still making him rejoiced. The magistrate repeals the earlier horrifying story as if it were a joke, but it's not a joke. It's reality that he told. Burst into a loud chuckling. This whole suggests uncontrolled amusement. He's amused at all. He's entertaining. That information has been the source of entertainment for him, for the magistrate, who is a very, very honorable person. The image itself is brutal, yet it becomes entertainment. Human suffering is transformed into comic material that shows extreme emotional numbness. You are numb. You don't have any feelings. It is a comic story for you? It should not be. So we all began laughing again. So the group immediately joins the laughter again. Collective amusement is replacing moral reflection entirely. Group psychology is very important. It strengthens emotional detachment and suppress guilt. All of them are a same flock. So they'll fly together. What one does, others follow it. At the moment, Francis's anecdote seemed extraordinarily funny. The word extraordinarily shows how exaggerated the laughter has become. The word anecdote is actually about a terrified prisoner resisting death, but it is treated as humorous. How pity. Can we go down to this level? As human beings, do we deserve to be called human beings? The way we are behaving here, the way these people are behaving? The moral reality of execution becomes distorted after tension is released. We all had a drink together, native and European alike, quite amicably. This line is important because colonial divisions disappear temporarily. All are same, all are equal. No one is native. No one is European. All are alike. All are same. When he says native and European alike, it suggests unity among all officials after the execution. Now, see the word amicably, it means in a friendly and peaceful manner. They all are friends, they are peaceful. No arguments, no conflicts. The goal is common, that they are entertaining. The shared participation in violence creates social bonding among the execution witnesses. The dead man was 100 yards away. The final line is short, simple, but devastating. While the group drinks and laughs together, the executed prisoner's body still lies nearby. The physical closeness contrasts with complete emotional distance. Okay, fine, they are close, physically close, but emotion-wise, they are not there. They're in their own world, the world of entertainment, world of fun. Orwell ends the essay by exposing the terrifiability of human beings to ignore death once it becomes institutional routine. Very important. When institutions make it routine, then nobody bothers. It does not affect anyone. How many people you are executing in a day even. It will not last any effect. Now, let us talk about literary techniques. The first one is, as usual, it is irony, because this essay is full of irony. The officials laugh, they drink whiskey, they socialize immediately after the execution. The horrifying reality is that a man has just been killed. Yet the atmosphere becomes cheerful and relaxed. Still, they are relaxed. They have no burden on their mind and the heart. Orwell intentionally creates this contradiction to shock the reader. The irony is exposing how institutions can make morally horrifying acts appear ordinary and socially acceptable. We readers feel discomfort. It's painful for us. It's not easy to digest because normal human reactions to death have been replaced by casual enjoyment. Next one is contrast. Orwell is creating sharp contrast between death and celebration here, silence and laughter, execution and drinking, the dead prisoner and cheerful officials. Four contrasts we can find in these two short paragraphs, last two paragraphs. And even the final line, the dead man was 100 years away, intensifies this contrast because physical closeness exists alongside emotional distance. They are existing side by side. They are opposite in nature. They are opposite in direction. The contrast highlights the frightening ability of humans to emotionally separate themselves from violence. And philosophically, if you try to dig it out, we see that life and death exist side by side. Yet society continues functioning as if nothing significant happened. Then third one is understatement. The line, the dead man was 100 yards away, is emotionally restrained, and it is simple. It is not intricate. It is not complex. Orwell avoids dramatic language, as we know, even though the moment is morally horrifying. He creates horror in your heart. His language, though, is simple. The calm narration makes the horror stronger because the reader must emotionally process the situation independently. He leaves on the readers how they interpret it, how they process it. He avoids emotional manipulation and instead lets reality expose cruelty naturally by default. Now, let's talk about symbolism. See the word whiskey. It is symbolic, and it is symbolic in different aspects, in different angles, from different angles. It symbolizes emotional escape. It symbolizes relief after tension. And it is also symbolizing social bonding after violence. The officials use comfort and social interaction to distance themselves psychologically from guilt. Prison gates, it's also symbolic. They are symbolic. The movement through the gates symbolizes leaving behind, number one, tension, number two, responsibility, and number three, moral discomfort. The officials physically leave the prison, but psychologically they are also escaping reflection on what they have done. You'll see collective laughter as psychological device. The repeated group laughter functions almost like emotional release. If you dig out its meaning deeper, the laughter is not genuine happiness, but nervous relief after witnessing death. And if you interpret it psychologically, we find that humans often use humor and group behavior to suppress guilt and anxiety. They want to hide it. They want to escape from that guilt, from that anxiety. Now let's talk about themes. Normalization of violence is a permanent theme throughout the essay. Execution becomes part of routine social life. The officials quickly move from witnessing death to laughing and drinking together. Repeated exposure to violence removes emotional sensitivity. If we dig up deeper meaning. And we also find Orwell's criticism here. It is that institutions can train ordinary people to accept cruelty as normal duty. Then second theme is emotional detachment. The officials emotionally disconnect themselves from the reality of that execution, taking the life of a person, of a prisoner, of a human being. For them, it's an object. I've been discussing it again and again. They're joking, they're laughing, they're drinking whiskey, while the dead body remains nearby. The system basically encourages psychological distance from moral responsibility, if you dig up deeper meaning. Then we also find dehumanization. The dead prisoner disappears from emotional importance almost immediately after death. Once institution system labels someone as condemned, deserved to be punished, society stops seeing them as fully human beings. Another theme that exists only at the end, that is group psychology. Everyone laughs together. Even the narrator joins this laughter. So we can say that group behavior influences individuals to conform emotionally. Psychologically, if we want to understand it, we can say that collective laughter suppresses personal guilt and creates shared emotional escape. Then moral corruption of institutions is also existing here as a theme. The prison system transforms execution, killing, taking life into organized routine. The greatest danger is not only execution itself, but how institutions normalize and sanitize cruelty. They support it, they back it up, they make it a task, a job that is praiseworthy. Then human capacity for self-deception. The officials are acting as though they deserve relief after the hanging. They psychologically present themselves as workers completing difficult duty rather than participants in execution, in taking life of a human being, in killing a person. Then colonial power and unity through violence is our last theme that we can discuss. The line, you see the phrase native and European alike, it is important because colonial divisions disappear here. Temporarily, for the moment, they disappear. All are equal. So after the execution, they all are same. Natives or Europeans or lords or usurpers or subjugates, all are equal. All are equal in this crime. Shared participation in institutional violence creates unity even among rulers and officials. They become equal. They feel that it is their common job and their common pleasure. Politically, it also has certain interpretation that the empire is held together not only through authority, but through shared systems of control and punishment. Only authority is not enough. You have to provide a shared system where you can control, where you can punish. So let's talk about writer's style. If you see, George Orwell is using calm, restrained, and observational language as he has been using in all paragraphs. He does not openly condemn the officials. It's his style, indirect criticism. Instead, he allows their words and actions to reveal the horror naturally. The simple narration makes the contrast between death and laughter even more disturbing. Orwell's controlled style forces readers to recognize the moral horror on their own. It makes the ending more powerful. The last line kills you. Let me analyze it critically. If you see these final paragraphs, they are representing the complete emotional collapse of moral seriousness after the execution. If you see earlier in this essay, Orwell emphasized the prisoner's humanity, his consciousness, as well as his fear. However, here the officials are totally different. They are laughing, they are drinking, they are socializing, while his dead body remains nearby. They have not buried it even. They have not disposed it. They have not taken it away from there. The laughter is especially disturbing because it is not genuine happiness. It is physical release after tension and guilt. Orwell shows how institutions allow people to emotionally distance themselves from violence by turning it into routine social experience. The final sentence, "The dead man was 100 yards away," is one of the most powerful endings in the essay because of its simplicity. It reminds the reader that while the officials celebrate relief and companionship, a human life has just been finished, just been destroyed, just been taken. So Orwell ultimately is criticizing not only execution, but he is also criticizing humanity's frightening ability to normalize cruelty when supported by systems and groups. Let me conclude it. These last paragraphs powerfully highlight themes of emotional detachment, normalization of human, moral corruption, and even commonality in the task, equality between natives and the Europeans, and we see overall irony, contrast, understatement, controlled narration have been used here to show how easily people return to ordinary enjoyment after participation in death. They're back in their life. The final image of laughter and drinking near the dead prisoner creates a deeply disturbing conclusion. How cruel they are, how numb they are. It exposes the psychological and moral damage caused by institutionalized execution. I hope you have understood it. And if you have any questions, you can ask. Thank you for watching.